What is going on, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Passion and Precision. That, of course, is Jory right next to me. I'm Kyle. You already know. It's been a few weeks now. I feel like we're getting into a groove. If you're first time tuning in, we, you know, give you some useful information. We'll give you some laughs and no guarantee, but for most weeks, you get a rant from Jory, at least one. So
Mm.
you can always count on that. Um, we're gonna have some a wide array of topics tonight. We're gonna talk about some Olympics topics in terms of Noah Lyles. He made some news for something outside of his feats on the track. Got to talk about Team USA. I mean, it was an incredible game the other day. You know, Jory and I will definitely break down that. Got Anthony in here already. What's going on, Anthony? Useful info. Giants got no quarterbacks. I mean, they got Tommy DeVito. It's all good. Um, we're gonna talk about the NFL as well. I mean, Anthony, that is a good comment there. But we're gonna talk about Jerry Jones and I guess this new Jerry Jones that's careful with money. We're gonna talk about him, Brandon Aiyuk, as there's actually been a break in the story that happened earlier today. So we'll talk about that. And then we have the last two divisions of our offseason preview, the NFC South and the AFC South. So we're going to get into all that. But first, got to ask, Jory, how are you doing tonight?
I am fine. I'm doing all right, pretty good. Can't complain.
Okay. I mean, that's what's up. Um, yeah, let's go ahead, get into the first topic, and let's have some fun. So Noah Lyles, he won the 100 meter. I remember watching that race. He won it like .05. The dramatics was there, kind of embodied what the Olympics were about. He runs the 200. He wins bronze. He looks like he's completely gassed. He was laid out on the track. Come to find out, he had a COVID diagnosis, and he's also asthmatic. So the combination of the two, kind of wild. But he decided to race. He ran the race. He was hugging competitors after. Did the post race interview with the mask on, and that's when we found out he tested for COVID, like on Tuesday. So I've seen like a varying reaction to it. So after Jory goes ahead, I'll probably add that into the story. But Jory, what were your thoughts with this whole Noah Lyles thing?
What a freaking idiot. Like, bro, COVID never went away. It's still killing people. Like, you're over here, and Team USA is at fault as well. Because they let him get on that
Mm-hmm.
track, knowing he was COVID positive since Tuesday. He shouldn't have been racing out of respect for everybody else that had to work to get to that track. It's unbelievably stupid. It's unbelievably selfish, and it's absolutely outrageous. And this is why people think of Americans the way that they do, because of dumb stuff like that. If you're sick and you test positive for something contagious, stay at home. It is common sense. Stay isolated. Don't nobody want to get what you have, especially if it's COVID. And the fact that you have asthma, COVID could have killed him. Because weak respiratory systems usually don't fare well against COVID.
Very
Like,
true.
it's how mind-bogglingly arrogant and stupid and selfish do you have to be to risk not only your own health, but everybody else's? And you're hugging people, knowing that you don't feel good. You know you don't feel that good. If you know that you're sick, why are you touching people? Much less the diagnosis part. You know you're sick. Why are you hugging and doing all this other stuff? It's incredibly stupid. And if there's an outbreak, Much like when Rudy decided he wanted to touch all those microphones, and then COVID started. And if there's an outbreak, we're going to point to him. And I've already had a thing to pick with him anyway because of his mouth, and he becomes quite unlikable. You already know what he said about the whole NBA and World Championship things, and the fact that he was actively rooting against USA in the World Cup. I already don't like you. Now I think you're just an airhead. Brick for brains. Like, don't be stupid.
Yeah, I mean, look, Noah Lyles is he's not universally loved. There are a lot of USA fans that, like you said, because of the way he carries himself, his mouth, and everything like that, don't like him. Stuff like this gives them more of a reason to. I didn't necessarily like the way that even in the post race, apparently can't talk tonight, but post race interview, he kind of played it off nonchalantly. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, I was gonna race because it's just the COVID diagnosis. I felt fine." And then they were like, "Are you gonna run in the 4x100?" He was like, I might just let my team handle that, and they got it without me. It was just like
And
you're
what
kind of
happened to
playing.
that?
You're kind of yeah. He's kind of downplaying it to the point where it's like I don't think he minds if somebody got sick from him. Now, look, maybe he thinks he got past the contagious stage, so he felt like he could run free and easy. But it just, I don't know, it just comes across as being irresponsible. I know you brought up Team USA's part in this, but I kind of feel like Noah Lyles is grown enough that if he wanted to pull out of the race because of this, he could have. Like the 100-meter thing, I get it. Like for the talk and the ego and everything like that, you win the 100-meter, you're the fastest man in the world. So that obviously was a race that was very important to him. Now the 200, he was trying to go for like the double gold and everything like that, which is a big deal for sprinters as well. But it just didn't seem like it was necessary, especially with the asthma that he has and how he looked after the fact where like he was laid out trying to catch his breath and everything. And I know most sprinters and all that are obviously gassed after a race, but it's just like it seemed like he even put himself in unnecessary danger by running with the COVID. Now, look, back with the lockdown, COVID was obviously more dangerous and everything like that. But like you said, it actually has never gone away. It's just that the cases and everything are just less and less. That's why we don't really pay attention to it. But you're talking about the Olympic Village, where a lot of these athletes hang out and all that kind of stuff. Like that, this is something that if somebody in the lane next to him catches it, didn't know about this, goes into the Olympic Village, feels like they're fine, it could have been an outbreak. It could have been a lot worse. So I, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. But kind of to Anthony's point here, a
Exactly.
little bit, the
I've had
fact he won is crazy. Yeah, asthma and COVID, I was down. I couldn't do anything. Yeah, and I saw some people who, when they learned that he had the asthma with the COVID, were like, "Oh, he's just an ultra competitor," and you have to respect the fact that he was able to push through it
no,
and
he was
race.
stupid.
That's what I'm saying. There's like two trains of thought with this. Some people are making it like he was courageous and all that to run through it, and others are like, no, this is dangerous and could have put other people in danger.
Like, from a personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
having COVID and having asthma stinks. Because you can't breathe for nothing. And it hurts when you try. And don't let you start coughing.
Right.
Like, good Lord. How dumb to even put his body through that knowing he had a COVID diagnosis. And you're already short winded.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think to the same people who were like it was courageous or whatever to do it. the part that probably stinks the most is for Noah Lyles. He's really only relevant every 4 years for the Olympics. And if this diagnosis had forced him to miss like the 1 and the 200 and the relay, like that definitely hurts as an Olympian. But just as a human, you kind of got to think about the other people in the race because there's a good chance a lot of them didn't know about it. And maybe some, if they knew, may have pulled out. I don't know. But I don't know. It was just the post race interview just was a weird look because it's almost like he was downplaying it and just wanted to talk about, the race itself, even though the COVID part is a big part of the story. But it's Noah Lyles, right? I mean, Jory, you said it. He's definitely in your face. He's not afraid to talk, which I mean that's kind of an Olympic thing, especially sprinters. Sprinters love to be personalities. Michael Johnson was one. Maurice Green was one. I know I'm missing a few others, but Carl Lewis had some personality. There's a lot of them.
And they
Are you
were
about to say
like
something?
that because don't nobody watch them but every 4 years. So they gotta get all the sunshine they can get. And some people just do dumb stuff like him. You can't help the airheads. Hey, he old enough. He a grown man. He knows exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But hey, uh, he got the 100 gold. He got bronze in the 200. I believe. Well, they haven't done the 4x100 yet.
Oh, they
We'll
did it.
see if.
The United States didn't definitely did
Oh, they
not
did.
qualify
Oh,
because
okay.
they messed up the baton exchange.
That's a normal thing for the U.S. men.
Like,
All right.
come on.
Yeah, there was like a good stretch of Olympics where that happened. Like every cycle, it was either in the it was like the qualifying or in the actual Olympics. Like they would always have some issue with the baton. I think the women used to have it too, but I know the women ran earlier today, and I saw that one. Shakari Richardson got her gold with that. But okay, so the men, I guess I missed the men one. I'll probably see it later. But all right. Hold on. Anthony says, it's a case of I got COVID. I'm suing in the USA. Yeah. Hmm. I will see if any more comes out of this story. I doubt it, but we'll see. Let's move on. Oh, go ahead.
Like, if I know that you were sick, if I find out you were COVID positive around me and
Mm-hmm.
you did not disclose that, I'm definitely going to get my lick back. Whether I'm going to fight you when you feel better or we're going to court.
Right.
You're not going to do that. Don't play with me.
No, that's a good point. Like I said, he was there hugging people after the race, so they obviously weren't thinking anything of it. And then probably they probably all walked by, saw him with a mask on, was probably like, what's going on here? Like, what are we doing? And then if they sat there and listened to the interview, they were probably like, no, that's not right. Would I be out of pocket to say the U.S. didn't win in shooting? Okay.
Look,
I,
I'm not
I
going to
see
go
what
there.
I see what you're going for. Yeah, yeah. Mm, mm. We'll go to the next topic. Not much you can add to that one.
I'm gonna leave my little comment in the drafts.
Right. Uh, Team USA, which I mean, I didn't do a graphic for the women. Probably should have because they've been dominant. We can talk about them in a little bit, but the men, I mean, this might have been the most entertaining game of the men's basketball portion of the Olympics. Serbia came out playing well. Go into the fourth quarter, double-digit lead. I believe the lead was 15 going into the fourth, and the U.S. just completely flipped the script, make the comeback, get the win. Steph Curry scored 36, which was one less than Carmelo's Olympic record of 37. Carmelo was courtside. You had Bogdanovich doing the Carmelo 3 to the head thing, which if you're a Hawks fan or you've seen enough Bogdanovich, that's who he is. He loves, front running and trying to get under people's skin. And then you saw as the U.S. was making the comeback, Bogdanovich got real quiet and disappeared.
Because the comeback happened shortly after he did that.
Absolutely did. And so he's a guy that, like, when I watch the Hawks, I see the talent in him, but I just don't know. Probably with the whole Trae Young and everything like that, I just don't see him as like a winning type of player. But look, up until that comeback happened, he was having a great game. It looked like they were going to get it done. So I guess, do your thing. But like looking at this game, Jory, like what were your impressions from it? Is this more of a U.S. got the win, or did Serbia choke this away?
Steve Kerr.
Okay. He has been a big talking point. Yeah, so go ahead.
Bro, I just defended you. I know I defended him about being a good coach when somebody said he stunk.
Yes.
But now you're making me look like an idiot. Like, what is this? What do you have going on here? What is with these lineups? Figure it out. You got Draymond sitting on his couch tweeting, subtweeting you about your coaching abilities. Come on. And that's Draymond, even though he subtweet everybody. But
right.
First of all, like, Jokic was eating them up the first 3 quarters. And then we decided to stop playing around, or they realized what was at stake at that point, and they mounted a comeback, and then they did then Bogdanovich did the mellow and clearly ignited something into him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Steve, now, we've been on you since the Olympics started. Like, and I will give Joel Embiid credit because he did do his little piece, especially down the stretch. I will give him credit. Can you do that in a playoff game in the second round of the playoffs? In a game 7? That's all we ask from him. And he's usually either not available or he don't show up. So, it was a very stressful game to say the least. Because as soon as they were up 17 or something like that, I turned that thing off and went to go walk my dog. I'm like, you know what, Kobe, it's time for me and you to have a good power out. So, but I'm glad we got the win. Clearly, Curry carried, because if Curry didn't drop that 36 points, we don't get that win.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what the bench players were doing, but it was absolutely atrocious, and I'm going to need them not to do that again. The next game, you can't do that.
No.
Versus France, you can't do that. I'm not even stunned Rudy Gobert in whatever he got going on. He got benched in the Olympics. I'm not stunned him. But you got Wemby, and you know how Fournier plays in the Olympics. So you got to figure something out, Steve. Put out the best 5, and when your rotations don't work, scrap them. Period.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Is it seems like he goes into these games with a preconceived idea, because it's funny that the games where Tatum doesn't play, Halliburton doesn't play. So apparently those two are linked in terms of their game time. But now it's like there's only one game left. Now, last time when Tatum didn't play, he played the next game. So is Steve Kerr going to play him in the gold medal game? Or because the gold medal, but it's like because the gold medal game, which is the last game for the tournament, is he just going to stick with what he did this game and those two are just going to be sitting as bystanders once again. I assume he's going to play everybody, I guess, because last time he did this, there's a lot of heat on him. And then he was like, oh, I made a mistake. Tatum will play next game, and he did. Whatever. But I just don't understand what's going on. Like, you're throwing out Booker, you're throwing out Ant. Both of them struggled like crazy against Serbia, and he just kept running them out there. And like I said, I get it if that was your plan to go into the game, but once they show you that they don't have it, gotta switch it up. The whole double teaming on Jokic, which anybody who watches the NBA knows if you double team Jokic, he's just gonna pass the ball. He's not gonna force it. That's what he wants to do. And on Serbia, all of the guys around him, for the most part, can shoot from the perimeter. So you're just playing into Jokic's hand if you're double teaming him. Like Steve Kerr should know that. He's faced Jokic enough in the NBA to know that. For some reason, that wasn't a thing. I know you brought up Embiid. I give Embiid credit offensively. The defensive rebounding from him has been atrocious, and I don't understand it for a guy that big.
Embiid is
I just don't get it.
And then there's times where we're saying, put Anthony Davis out there. So
right. And it's like during the showcase when they played Tatum, AD, Bam together. That lineup was pretty dangerous because those three could switch everything, could guard on the perimeter, could guard in the paint, were very versatile on the perimeter. And I don't think I've seen those three on the court together at all over the course of the Olympic Games. And I don't get why you used it then. It worked then, and now you've never used it. It's almost like AD, for the most part, has become a bit of an afterthought, even though he was your most dominant big during the showcase. So I don't understand what it is, but hey, if they win gold, Kirk can sit back and say, I knew what I was doing. We won gold. If they lose, though, yeah, there's going to be probably there's probably a lot of fans now who think, he better not be coaching in 2028. But I don't know.
He's making me look questionable because I defended him.
Yeah, you did. I mean, I still think he's a good coach. I just think his
decision making is questionable.
Yeah, he seems kind of stubborn. Well, we'll put it that way. He's stubborn. He loves 3-guard lineups, and he loves like double big lineups. Get like one or the other with him. I mean, the 3-guard thing, I get it. With Golden State, he ran that a lot, but this isn't Golden State. Like, if you need to sit Ant because he's not playing well, you're literally turning to your bench and bringing in another All-Star or All-NBA player. Like, this should be easy for you.
He wants to make it difficult on himself, and I'll just leave it at that.
That's kind of what it seems like. But I mean, look, like, what do you think about them versus France? Like, how do you see that going? It's going to be interesting because the French crowd hate Embiid, can't stand him. I mean, to them, he betrayed them by choosing the U.S. over them. They were all ready to go with Embiid and Wemby playing together. Embiid, becomes a U.S. citizen and goes, I'm playing for the U.S. So I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. And kind of like you said, we've seen Embiid, like in a Game 7 in the Boston series, completely no-show. Hostile crowd then as well. I mean, this seems a little different. He seems to be wanting to feed into it and kind of throw it in the French people's face. But we'll see. But who do you think wins this one?
I'm going to go ahead and say the United States was going to take home the gold. I don't think Embiid is going to have he's going to have a solid game, but again, it's going to be one of those performances where he's good on one end and suck on the other. Now, which end? I'm not gonna sit here and guess, but I feel like we might see some better coaching because he can't do all of that versus he can't do the dumb stuff versus France because they have size.
Hmm.
You're gonna need your bigs.
Yeah,
Wimby is about as tall as my room. Like, come on.
right.
So, but Wimby is also light in the cakes as well, so that you can take advantage of that. So I'm like, I feel like we're gonna take this home, but them this group of players being what it is, they're gonna make it frustrating. I already know. They're gonna stress me out. Like they did versus Serbia.
Hmm.
They're gonna they might not do the exact same thing, but they're gonna make it stressful.
Yeah, yeah. So part of me thinks it may turn to a blowout, but to Anthony's point about Embiid just being slow, that is kind of what it is defensively. He laterally, there is nothing there. So a lot of guys can dribble drive against him. I guess the worry would be is if he's starting in the center position and he's gets matched up onto um, Wembayama, who we know can shoot from the outside. Will Embiid just give him those shots? And if he's hot, then what happens? I would assume Kerr makes the quick decision and goes Bam or AD, go out there, lock down Wemby, call it a day. What's going on, Key? So, uh, yeah, I feel like this is a game that might be close at the half, and then the U.S. kind of pull away in the second half. That's what I think might happen. But I think the crowd's going to be great. I think the French and the Embiid thing is captivating. So I do want to see how Embiid comes out in the gold medal game. Like I said, I forgot to do a graphic for the women, but I don't want to just gloss over what the women are doing because the men came into this with a lot of attention with their play during the showcase and a lot of worries about them, whether or not they could be a gold medal quality team. But the women are just out here dominating. No matter who you throw in front of them, they have answers upon answers that a lot of these other countries just have no response to. Like, the Asia Wilson, Brittany Griner dynamic, not a lot of countries have that.
Mm-mm.
Chelsea Gray, I mean, even Jackie Young, who I think struggled a little earlier, but she's really come on uh, driving and Euro stepping around some of these teams. It's just like a lot of other countries are good at like one thing. The U.S. is good at basically everything you can do on a basketball court. And I
Mhm.
left a few names out, like Brianna Stewart, Alyssa Thomas. Those two aren't growing on trees in a lot of these countries. And until a lot of these countries probably start, I don't know, finding those types of players, I feel like the gap in the women's game will continue to be somewhat wide. But I mean, we kind of saw this with the men's team, like in the '90s. It was a pretty wide gap, and look where we are now, much closer. So the women's game probably gets to that point at some point. But yeah, I'll let you jump in here about the women. Go ahead.
I will say there was other people that spot could have went to other than Diana Taurasi, right? Like
True.
I'm not a DT type of person.
Hmm.
Feel like at this point she need to go sit down somewhere. Let one
It
of these
does seem like this is a sending off. Like there's no chance she's around in 4 years.
her sent off should have been last 4 years.
True. Yeah.
Like let somebody else have that spot. Anyway, but I feel like with the men being as iffy and up and downy as they have been, the women bowling balling through these girls is getting undermined. Like, I get Nigeria was a good story,
Hmm.
but they faced the US and what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, Australia kept it competitive. They kept it cute, but they didn't win no. Like no none of
True.
these teams have what you said answers. I really can't add too much more to that, but they've been playing very well, and they're gonna get another gold. Cause who are they playing? Hold on, let me pull it. Could you pull it up? Who they playing?
Yes. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Go.
Same here, Anthony. Same here.
Oh wait. Apparently they're playing France in the gold medal game.
Huh? So both the men and the women playing France. That's cute.
I mean, that's what I'm seeing. That is very interesting. I did not know that. Okay.
That's very cute.
Yeah.
I'm still taking both United States teams. Double gold.
That is wild. So the French crowd's just going to be
On
all
10.
involved right now. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they get. The French women. Okay. Who knew? Wow. Like how could this have gone any better for the French crowd?
Right.
Men and women's team make the final. So at worst they get a silver medal, so they get to celebrate that as well. But if one of them can pull the upset, France might party for the next 3 weeks after this. Like
I might
that
need
would
to
be interesting. Would be interesting. Okay. So I guess simple question would be which I feel like I kind of know the answer to this, but which team do you think would be more likely to face the upset? The US men or the US women?
the men.
I kind of figured. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see anybody stopping this women's team at all.
Cause it's like with the men, it's like we've seen it already. When they don't
Mhm.
play well, they let teams that they're not supposed to beat, that they're not supposed to beat them. Or come close to it before they say, oh, let's get serious and hit a switch. They're gonna have to take this game seriously and stop
Yeah.
playing around for 3 quarters. Steve.
Right. Look, hopefully Steve has learned, and this will be his best performance. Hopefully, but we'll see.
He's hard headed.
Yeah. Well, I kind of figure that's where I don't know Spolstra, Ty Lue, one of them would step up and be like, "Look, Steve, I get what you're trying to do here, but you literally have an NBA champion sitting right there,
You
kind
know
of a
what to
tall
do.
guy, good handles, can get into the lane. He's a willing facilitator. Why not try him?"
His name not Coach Kerr no more right now. It's Steve. When I'm mad at him, it's gonna be Steve.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's see. Let's see if Steve can regain the Coach Kerr name. All right. Let's go
JJ gonna
on.
speak too when he start. I will find out what his first name is.
Well, see, there you go. You guys can look forward to that during the season. If coaches are messing up, you're just gonna get their first name from Jory. That's how they'll be referred to. I mean, let's go NFL. We go from Steve
To
to
Jerry.
Jerry Jones. Yeah, we'll go just say Jerry because hold on. Anthony had one last comment about the Olympics. Tannen's mad for playing time, but you have to understand the USA team is stacked. Everybody won't play every game. I mean, yeah and no, only because Booker and Ant were not playing well against Serbia. So that would be a good opportunity to bring somebody else in, give them a breather, and then maybe try them a little bit later, see if they have it or not. But I get it. Obviously USA aren't like the other teams where like Serbia, you had Bogdanovic, you had Jokic. and the rest of the guys are just whatever. But Steve still needs to do better. Jerry Jones. The weird offseason of the Cowboys continues. Didn't want to spend money during free agency. They haven't really made any big trades. And now we're into the preseason part of the NFL schedule. Jerry Jones is out there, little press conference type or meet the media, whatever. You know, Jerry loves cameras and microphones on him. They ask him about the CeeDee Lamb contract negotiations, and he just goes, there's no urgency. And they're like, what do you mean? I think he said something like, I went to high school and college. There's no urgency. I don't know what that means, but according to Jerry Jones, that's your answer. No urgency. So CeeDee Lamb, like, quote tweeted the whole thing and just put LOL. Michael Parsons, like, quote tweeted the CeeDee Lamb thing, and it's just like, I don't know what's going on in Dallas anymore. But Jerry, like, what do you make of this whole thing? Like, where do you think this ends up?
A catastrophe. It's a clown show, and it's always a clown show. If you wonder why Micah feels like it's okay to talk so much and why the players act the way they do, look at Jerry.
Yeah.
Just look at him.
Absolutely.
He made a trade. Wow. Congratulations. What did he want?
That happened like an hour before we came on here. So he did do that.
What does he want? A cookie for doing his job, which he has not been doing for the whole offseason other than a draft where he supposedly drafted well, but those are rookies and I have to see it to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. There's no urgency. Well, clearly there's no urgency. You let Tony Pollard go. You let Tyler Biadasz go. You let some of your depth on that defensive
Tyron Smith's gone.
Stephon
Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore still out there. Yeah.
And you're talking about there's no sense of urgency. Clearly there's no sense of urgency because you don't want to do nothing. You're going nowhere quickly. Nowhere quickly. Like, now you want to play around with Dak and you're playing around with CD and his money. You're showing Micah that Micah's going to have to fight for his.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how you play your cards right, to next year, you're going to have to make a decision on Zach Martin and DeMarcus Lawrence. Good luck to you, Jerry. Because no sense of urgency, waiting to the last minute gets you absolutely nowhere. You can't fathom paying Dak to make him the highest paid, but you also can't see that in about a year or two, he'll be top 7. He won't be the highest paid. Fool. But the Cowboys will do absolutely nothing worthwhile as long as Jerry Jones has his hand in the pot like this. Like, I get it, he has an eye for talent. Let him scout. Don't let him put together contracts and ish.
So I guess Anthony's saying that Jake Ferguson, I guess, probably needs a new deal
too. Him too. And if you don't pay CD and he's not there and he don't show up come game time, which I highly doubt happens, but it could.
Mm-hmm.
And he's bringing the number 1 coverage. You're putting that on Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson. And when you're missing a starting center and a few linemen, how is that going to work out for Dak, who you also have to pay? And then you put this whole dark shadow of gloom over this team's head by making McCarthy coach on a lame duck contract. This whole team is on a lame duck contract at this point. Because if they don't do anything this year with absolutely nothing, then we all know where they're heading to implode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because of that man.
Yep. And the other part of this is, imagine being Mike McCarthy. Every publication, every analyst out there saying he's on the hottest seat in the NFL. And if he has to go into the season with his star wide receiver disgruntled, star front seven player Micah Parsons disgruntled, a quarterback that luckily Dak doesn't, I guess, have CeeDee Lamb's personality because Dak has been kind of quiet. He's got a quarterback that needs a new deal. So what is Mike McCarthy supposed to do about any of this? I mean, yeah, Jerry he brought back Zeke. Great. Zeke's 29, about to be 30. We know how running backs, when they reach that magic number of 30, kind of a wild card.
And he hit his wall 4 years ago. Stop it.
I mean, yeah, he had a decent season last year for New England, but yeah, it wasn't like classic Zeke. So he's on the downhill. You have, you don't have Michael Gallup anymore, who was like a good complimentary wide receiver. He's not there. So Mike McCarthy's got to be looking around like, I'm supposed to coach for my job. All the rumors about, Jerry's going to go after Bill Belichick next season, and this is the team I'm supposed to win with. Yeah, thanks a lot, Jerry. I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will probably tell CeeDee Lamb, don't play it down until you get your money. And you probably can't blame him for that because Jerry Jones is just acting weird this offseason. I don't know what's going on.
He's acting stingy with his money, but he ain't being stingy with his words. Ain't that backwards? Mm-hmm. He got a whole lot to say. And sometimes it's just a bunch of nothing. But his actions don't match it. He's just on a whole train of the Lulu sauce and crap that he wants us to believe.
Yep. That is very true. So we'll see where this ends up. I mean, by the time we come back next week, we'll obviously see if CeeDee Lamb is signed, Dak signed, if Micah gets signed, or who knows if Jerry's talking a bit more. But either way, I have a feeling we'll have some Cowboy-related topic next week. All right, go from one wide receiver to another. Brandon Aiyuk. So it's gone from Brandon Aiyuk probably gone. He and the 49ers just can't see eye to eye. He just wants to go. To now, he had some meeting with Shanahan, and apparently they are now re-engaged in long-term contract talks. It's a very confusing situation. I mean, yesterday it was, I need to be in Pittsburgh. I want to play for Mike Tomlin. And now it's, all right, I'll renegotiate with you. Sure, I'll stay. Let's see what the money looks like. And the whole part of the story about he didn't want to be in Cleveland. He didn't want to be in New England because of their quarterback situation. I don't know what the reason was in Cleveland, but, I mean, you could point to their quarterback situation as well and be like, yeah, I don't know if I want to get involved with that. So I guess we have to assume he re-signs with the Niners. So the report was the Patriots offered $32 million a year. And like I said, the quarterback situation, he wasn't down for that. Does that mean the Niners have to go somewhere near that number? And is this a lot of fuss for a guy that maybe doesn't deserve it? That's probably my question to you, Jory. Is Brandon Aiyuk worth all of this?
Considering what he's worth to Brock Purdy,
mm-hmm.
And you know you're going to have to end up paying him.
Yep.
If you get it done now, you won't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Same thing we're going with CD. But the whole thing with the 49ers is that team is getting ready to fall apart anyway. Because guess how many high-paying players that they're paying? You can't pay them all at once. That lump sum of money. You already had to lose Eric Armstead, who's now in Jacksonville. So I'm like, it's coming. That day is coming. You might want to lock up the core while you can so you can remain competitive. But just like the Bills had their day in cap hell, with the Cap Demon, and like the
Mhm.
Chargers had their day with the Cap Demon, it's coming for the 49ers. So if they were smart, they get ahead of this Brandon Aiyuk thing while they can. Pay the man, because you're gonna be missing some players, missing some pieces when you turn around and pay Purdy. And that's really the one that that's his number one receiver. Don't mess that up. I understand Debo is Debo, but Debo has been hurt. And when Debo can't do it, and when somebody needs to pick up the slack, it's usually Ayuk. That's his number one receiver. Don't mess that up. If the 49ers were smart, and we like to think they were, because considering how these teams have fared, they
Mhm.
get out ahead of it because they know what's coming.
So to answer Anthony's question, the report was Kendrick Bourne was going to go back to the Niners along with, I think, a first round pick. I know Cleveland, it was going to be Amari Cooper and a first round pick. For the Steelers, it was basically like, I think we need 2 first round picks because the Steelers don't have a wide receiver probably outside of Pickens, and Steelers aren't that dumb to trade him. That they probably would have to do, like, I guess, a lesser wide receiver and extra picks to get it done. So yeah, it was going to be Kendrick Bourne for New England. Um, I mean, look, it's the funny thing is, like, I sat here thinking about if this whole thing was just IU playing the market to get more from the 49ers. Because like you said, Jory, he's very important to Brock Purdy. And because of, Kittle, Debo, like, Ayuk is able to perform kind of in, he doesn't deal with a lot of double teams and anything like that because of the other guys that are in the offense. So I think for Brandon Aiyuk, if he could get the extra money out of San Francisco, probably the best place for him. Now, look, I don't have an issue with him saying he didn't want to go to New England because of they want to. Well, I think that's what they said for the Steelers because the Steelers don't have a wide receiver to give them outside of Pickens. Every other team was like a first round pick and a wide receiver. I think that's where it came from, the 2 first. So yeah, I guess for Ayuk, it's a place he wants to be, although he really wanted to be in Pittsburgh because, he wants to play for Mike Tomlin, which, I mean, Mike Tomlin is well respected. I don't have an issue about him not liking the Patriots quarterback situation. I completely understand that. And New England did all they could to try to lure him away. I mean, the fact that New England was willing to go to $32 million for him shows how invested they were in him. Like, they know their wide receiver position. I mean, they got rid of Juju Smith today, which, thank you. Like, I mean, they said they're focusing on the young wide receivers, and I was like, there's one guy kind of in the way in Juju. Can we kind of remove him? And they did it. Like, it's a new day in New England. Okay. The Cleveland situation was interesting because of they got Jerry Jeudy, so they're willing to get rid of Amari Cooper. So for Cleveland, it was like we got Jerry Jeudy and Brandon Aiyuk to go with David Njoku, who's a really good tight end. Like, you're kind of recreating somewhat of what the 49ers have. But they have their own issues with Deshaun Watson. If I'm Brandon Aiyuk, I don't know what that guy's going to look like. So Cleveland doesn't look that appealing to me. So I assume this gets done soon. I'm kind of over the whole saga of Brandon Aiyuk. Let's see. Anthony said, speaking of New England, Joe Milton looked good. I mean, it's the first game of the preseason. I will say, it probably works in Joe Milton's favor that it's not Bill Belichick coaching. I feel like the Patriots would keep him on. Because remember, the Patriots had Malik Cunningham, who's basically Joe Milton. I think Joe Milton has a better arm, but basically the same type of quarterback, and Bill couldn't wait to get rid of him.
He's a wide
I have a
receiver.
feeling, yeah, he's a wide receiver now for Baltimore, which I guess good luck with that one. Right? It's like, sure, you went from a situation in New England to now a quarterback that can't throw it to you, but we're not going down that road. We know Ravens fans don't like that kind of talk, but it is what it is. Matt, what's up, Godfrey? Juju got freed like Moses. Sure. I mean, let's see where he ends up. I'm sure he'll look. He might find his way back to Kansas City for all I know. I don't know, but more power to him.
I do know what team he need to stay far away from. Mine. I don't need a receiver. I'm out of the receiver game. I'm good.
I mean, yeah, Titans got a whole
Four.
bunch of them. I doubt they're looking. I mean, I guess he could go back to the Steelers. Yeah, I mean,
Who's
the
gonna win
Steelers are trying to get
in Pittsburgh? If Tomlin got rid of him once, why would he bring him back and deal with him again?
because you got George Pickens and the rest of that wide receiver group is up in the air. I feel like at least with Tomlin, he would understand what Juju Smith could bring. Yes, you got to deal with the TikTok and all that kind of stuff and all that, but you know he could be productive. He knows the system.
Stay off Snapchat, Juju.
Yeah, that's probably a good word of advice there. Juju made history being the first player to get cut. Yeah, didn't even play in the preseason game and got cut today. I mean, hey, NFL life, gotta love it. Anthony said Juju can go to Kansas City. Yeah, play off of Worthy and Hollywood Brown.
And because they're expecting a suspension from Mr. Rice, I see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that suspension is coming. The NFL just ain't announced yet, but I know it's coming.
Yes, I feel the same way. So that might be the place he goes. Maybe it comes down to Kansas City or Pittsburgh, whichever one can sweeten the deal for him. This is year though. Huh? I'm assuming there's probably a word missing in there. So, Godfrey, can resend that message as we go. NFC South. The division that is just so exciting. It usually is. Oh, he was asking about Rice's suspension. Do we think it'll be this year?
Yes.
Oh,
He did it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why smart, but yes, I do think he can't. There's not enough community service and meals that he can give out that's gonna excuse the type of behaviors he's been doing this off season. It might woo the Kansas City fans. It ain't gonna woo me, Bookie, and it's probably not gonna woo the NFL.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like the suspension will come down this year. Well, like I said, we'll see. You know, once that suspension does come down, I mean, we'll definitely have something to say about that. Okay, so Godfrey says he got lumped up in civil court. Oh, he will get lumped up in the civil court. Got you. So I guess Godfrey's saying like maybe the legal proceedings could carry on for a while, and if the NFL decides to wait for it, maybe it would be something that happens next year.
Yeah.
NFL focuses more on player gambling than speeding and hitting women. Yeah. Colin Goodell, this can't hurt my dynasty team. Okay.
Because considering that Deshaun Watson still has a job.
True.
Which I really don't think he should. And how they handled that whole situation. He was on his way out of Houston anyway. Then all of this crap came out. And he basically sat a year. Then got hit with an 11-game suspension. So they got him for 2 years. And he ain't looked right since.
Right.
So
Part of
I
me
feel
does
like if
wonder.
they let him play this year,
Mhm.
that he's gonna get one of those substantial, significant suspensions next year. So it's pretty much might be a 2-season suspension. They could do that, or they can just go ahead and give him 10, 11 games.
If you have talent, the legal back use short of murder or yeah,
Manslaughter one. Yep.
it does it does definitely seem that way.
Some questionable morals in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do wonder if Cleveland didn't do what they did with Watson, what would have happened to Watson? Because, like I said, Houston was ready to move off of him. Like, would they have just let the contract play out if he was a free agent? How many teams would have gone out? Well, I guess Cleveland probably would have still went after him because they were just desperate to move on from Baker Mayfield. Like, it only takes one team. Okay, Godfrey says he gets 6. I'm assuming you're guessing Rice's suspension. If he was a 7th rounder, he would be in the XFL already. Once again, probably very true. Very true. Yeah, NFC South. Let's tackle this division that I mean you and I have paid attention to as we are in the market of the Atlanta Falcons. So these are games that, for the most part, unfortunately, are all over our TVs every week.
Yeah. Instead of what I actually want to watch.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The Falcons, look, they had a offseason where they bring in a legit quarterback. No more Desmond Ritter. You have Kirk Cousins. They also drafted Michael Penix. So they got 2 quarterbacks. It's not college. In the NFL, you got 2 quarterbacks. You don't have any. But Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback once he comes back from the knee injury. Anthony says Panthers are going to have a top 5 pick next year. The
I'm willing to
Panthers
bet
could
money on
literally
it.
just forfeit the season and just go on to next year. But look, maybe one of us will give them some hope. You got the Bucks. They return Baker Mayfield. They still have Mike Evans. It seems like they're slowly becoming a bit of an older team, but they were really competitive last season. Can Baker work some of his magic and get them into the playoffs? I got the Saints, who I feel like are becoming more and more irrelevant with each day because you have Derek Carr, you have Dennis Allen, who Jory and I don't like. You have an aging defense, and yeah, you got Chris Olave. That's something to go see. And then you got the Carolina Panthers, who
Don't
were
know what.
terrible last year, are going to be terrible this year. And they have an owner that's a loose cannon who might make more news than his actual team does on the field. So, with that all ahead, Jory, how do you see this division breaking down? Who do you have winning it? Like, so take it anywhere you want to go with this one.
This is a doozy of a conference. When I say it's a doozy, because it's like we all know which team is not going to win it off rip.
Yes.
The question is, what about the other 3? Because
Yeah.
when you look at the Saints, and then, hold on, let me, shoot. My notes are out of order and I don't like it. But, they always tend to somehow make things difficult, especially if they're playing the Falcons. The Falcons should win it, but the Bucks are a veteran squad, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah, I really this. Let me use my common sense. The Falcons should win it, but anything that the Falcons should do, like they should have won that Super Bowl, they don't do. So I will put Tampa at my preliminary. I will put Tampa number 1, Atlanta 2, Saints 3, and of course the Panthers 4. But then I'm looking at the schedule of the Falcons. They play the Steelers week 1. Week 2, they go to Philadelphia. So that right there, that's not very hard. That's not very easy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good possibility they could be 0-2 in their first 2 games. And
Yeah.
then they have the Chiefs week 3 and the Saints week 4. They could be 1-3 first 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks 5, Panthers 6, Seahawks 7. They might be able to get to 500. You're looking at a 500 team right here. Their schedule is set up that it's not that easy. Then you have the away at the Bucks, at Tampa for 8, Dallas 9, and the Saints 10.
Okay.
And it's like this team on paper is a 10-win team. But them being
Mm-hmm.
the Falcons and doing what I know that they could do, even with Kirk Cousins, because the Falcons are going to Falcon. They could easily lose 9 games. And if you don't win at least 8 in the division, you're not going to get it.
True. Yeah.
They were supposed to win it last year, and what happened?
Exactly.
So I don't have faith in the Falcons are gonna win this division. I feel like they're gonna be 2, and I actually think they should be 10. That on record they should be 11-6, but I'm gonna knock that down to 10-7.
Right. They'll win. They'll lose a couple of games that you'll just be like,
Why?
they're way too talented to lose that game. So yeah, I mean, as somebody who has seen enough Falcons football, yeah, that's just what they are. They'll just do that. It'll probably happen in the division. Like the Saints could be struggling, but Saints Falcons week is just something different, and the Saints find ways to make those games more interesting than they probably should be.
The
And
Falcons are
Tampa Bay's the same thing as well.
the Falcons are the type to beat up on the Chiefs and then turn around and lose to the Panthers. That's exactly what they are.
Right.
So I have them being second. Then I look at Tampa's schedule. They don't have a very easy schedule either, their first 4 games. Mind you, Atlanta's bye week is week 11, week 12, and it gets significantly easier after the bye. So they
Yeah.
could struggle, be like half-hearted, and then hit the bye and then go on a little win streak. That might be where the division is won right there. Because the Bucks, they have a week 11 bye. And they have a stretch of games that could be easy, but they're also playing the Cowboys, and I don't know what the Cowboys are going to look like. The Saints should beat the Cowboys, but who knows what that team is going to look like. Right now it's looking like it's going to be trash, but neither here nor there. Tampa, weeks 1 and 2, they have Washington, and then they go to Detroit. I feel like they're going to be 1-1. Week 3 and 4, they have Denver and Philly, 2-2. Week 5 at Falcons, at the Saints for week 6. I can't even accurately predict those because this whole division, when they play each other, and that's usually with all divisions, when they play each other, it's almost impossible to tell who is going to win unless it's the fourth quarter or unless it's just a blowout. And I've been on
Mm-hmm.
the opposite end of those. So I prefer no blowouts. I can't stand them. I turn those off before halftime. See, but then after week 6, Anthony, it gets a little interesting because they have
Yep.
Ravens, Falcons away at the Chiefs, the 49ers bye, the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Dallas, Cowboys, the Panthers, Saints. So they could very well be going in on to their bye on a 4 to 5 game losing streak. Very well.
Yeah.
So I feel like they might wouldn't they could eke it out at the end because of
Hmm.
course you have after you got the Giants who aren't going to beat anybody. You have the Panthers who might make it interesting, but they don't have no offensive line, and Bryce Young is only 5'9", so there's that.
It looked every
Hey,
bit of it with that walk into the training camp with that backpack on.
man, he looked like me, and I get told I look like a kid all the time. The Raiders, I don't know what their quarterback situation is. So I
Yeah.
don't that I feel like they're gonna win that. The Chargers is gonna beat them based off of talent alone. Then we have
Yeah.
Dallas. Like yeah, it's gonna be between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Whoever gets through their last stretch of those final games with the most wins is gonna win a division.
Yeah. I mean, look, you read through the Buccaneers schedule and the part that you talked about, like after the first 6 games, that could be their season. Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Niners, like that stretch right there, you figure that they'll struggle. But then coming out of that, they should feast on Giants, Panthers, Raiders. I mean, the Chargers, we don't know. New coach, Harbaugh, we know they're going to run the ball, but you have Herbert at quarterback. Herbert's now missing a lot of the wide receivers he had last year. So I agree with you. Don't know what they'll have there. But by December 15th, when that game does come along, Harbaugh should have instilled his program, and they probably should be clicking at that point. So that's not necessarily a gimme, but it could be a game that they could win. And then, like you said, you got the Cowboys game mixed in there, whatever, and then Panthers Saints to end the season. So this could once again come down to the last 2 weeks, which I believe is what happened this past season between the Falcons and the Bucks, and whoever can take care of their business the last 2 weeks probably does win this division. Now you have the Bucks winning it with the Falcons coming second. I'd probably go reverse of that, but I would not be surprised if Tampa ends up winning the division. Anthony says Tampa has the best defense in the division.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think Atlanta's defense came on a little bit last year before
Right.
they lost Grady. Didn't they
And you
lose
figure Raheem Morris, did they lose who?
Grady Jarrett?
I think Grady Jarrett's the ageless one. I think he's still in Atlanta.
Yeah, I know. Didn't they lose him due to injury?
Oh, I got you.
Or was that a
I
year
think
before?
so. I feel like Grady Jarrett missed a couple of games last year.
He tore his ACL. Um, but that defense was starting to come on, and
Mm-hmm.
Tampa's defense is also starting to get a little aged as well. We saw that, and Baker. I forgot before I even made that my prediction about Baker, how I felt about Baker. Baker can throw you in a game, and he can dang sure throw you out of one.
But he'll be enthusiastic on the sideline either way.
He's going to be a rah-rah man on the sideline, whether he's throwing touchdowns or interceptions. You're going to get what you get with Baker Mayfield.
Right. Panthers
So
lost Burns. Yes, they sent him to the Giants.
if I
Oh, and
count
Grady Jarrett played 8 games last year. So yeah, he missed half the season.
so if I'm going to account that Tampa's going to lose a few of these games because of Baker, yeah, they'll probably be second because I forgot about that. That Baker like to turn the football over at times.
Right. So yeah, the Bucks have the Baker problem, and the Falcons they're the Falcons problem.
Yeah. Then there's the Saints. And what type of problems do they have? Front office problems, age problems.
Sean Payton problem
John
still haven't
Payton.
gotten over. Yeah.
Derek Carr issues.
Mm-hmm.
And those aren't the type of car issues you want to have.
Nope.
They don't like that man. The fans wish they never got him. Saints fans do not like Derek Carr. They hate him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and seeing what Derek Carr was able to do last year when he was able to do something, I see why they don't like him. He's inconsistent.
Yeah.
But that's also a product of what the Saints have done after Sean Payton is gone, which is absolutely nothing. And they've wasted time. Instead of trying to find your next franchise quarterback, they've wasted time with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill trying to be borderline fringers for the next few years. No, you have teams that are going to get their quarterbacks in the division, and you don't go get one. You want to go retread Derek Carr. That's your issue. And they're in cap hell. That
Mm-hmm.
defense is overpaid, overrated, and old. Triple O. But anyway, looking at their schedule, I don't think their schedule is very nice to them at the beginning either. Week 1, they have a week 12 bye as well. Week 1, they play
Okay.
Carolina. Week 2, they play Dallas, which is because depending on what Dallas comes out the gate looking like, you know they come out the gate bludgeoning folks. And
Yeah.
then once they hit the mid-season stretch, it starts to fizzle out. So I definitely take that as an L. The Eagles 3, which is 1 and 2. Falcons 4, but that's at Atlanta, so I'll have them at 1 and 4. I mean
Mm-hmm.
1 and 3. Chiefs at the Chiefs 5.
They did
I'm
draft
not
Spencer
so
Rattler. Yes. I, I don't
that's
know what to make of
supposed
Spencer
to finish
Rattler.
before I even make
Yeah.
my opinion on him.
Yeah.
He's a
They also
retread.
have Jake Hayner as well.
Yeah. The, Jake Hayner is more of a model than he is an NFL quarterback. Stop it.
Yeah.
But they have the Chiefs week 5. They play at home week 6 versus the Bucks. The Broncos week 7. I'm looking at them being a good 2 and 5 right now. Maybe 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Week 8 away at the Chargers. Week 9 away at the Panthers. 4 and 5. Week 10 at home versus the Falcons. I'll have them having that, so they'll be at
Yeah.
a 500. Week
They
11
they
at,
always beat Atlanta and New Orleans.
right.
That's just a given.
That's all that always happens.
Yeah.
Um, at home versus Cleveland. I think I'm gonna just chalk that up as an L. It doesn't really matter who's starting at quarterback for Cleveland. I mean, their defense is better than whatever offensive line the Saints have.
Yeah.
That's an L. Week 12 bye. Week 13 Rams. Then they have the Giants. Then they go to New York to play the Giants. Then they have the Commanders, the Packers, the Raiders, and then the Bucks again. I feel like they got a gauntlet in there as well. I don't know if it's just going to be them first 5 games. That's a little mini gauntlet, and then the last 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got some tough games at the beginning of the season, you got a little cupcake stretch, and then the middle of the season, and then at the end. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost 10 games. This is why I had them third.
Yeah. And look, the Saints aren't in a position to really call anybody a cupcake for them. Because, like you said, they have a lot of issues internally that it almost seems like they're just trying to ride it out right now until they can kind of let some of the guys that created the cap situation under Sean Payton kind of age out and just move on. Like that's what they're waiting for. And I honestly don't know because I haven't looked at their cap situation in a while. I remember I looked at it like last year and it was just like, how are they supposed to function like this? So look, Derek Carr. Yeah, I mean the cap is ridiculously messy, and I know Anthony brought up Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler was up and down in college. I don't know what he's gonna look like in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if like 3 games in, Saints fans are probably calling for him to play quarterback.
Because
I know they love throwing Taysom Hill back there, but please stop that experiment. Taysom Hill is not a quarterback.
we have seen it enough. And
Yes, I was so angry when they did that when they had Jameis Winston as the backup and they decided to throw Taysom Hill at quarterback. When he gets the ball, you know he's going to run. He's good for like one throw a game. So I hope they keep him at tight end or whatever version of him they're going to use, running back, whatever, and just leave him out of the quarterback room. So it should be, I guess, Rattler as the backup. And yeah, I think Saints fans will be calling for him by like week 6. I'll give Derek Carr at least till week 6.
I won't even give him till week 6. Week 3. They hate him that much.
Right. Yeah, I know.
You know they don't like him. They never wanted
Mm-hmm.
him in New Orleans in the first place.
Yeah.
And
But
when the
once they see Spencer
fans,
Rattler, they may appreciate him a little bit more though.
When Saints fans turn on you, they turn on you. Ask
Mm-hmm.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Because they
Yeah.
can't stand him.
Yes, that is very true. Yeah. All right, you got the Panthers left. I mean, yeah, it's the Panthers.
Can I say they're going 0-16? This is like
Yeah. I mean, why not? Like we've already said, skip the season, take your number one draft pick next year, which they should have had this year, but obviously with the Bryce Young trade, they lost the number one pick this year. I I, I think they would have their number one pick next year. That's all Panthers fans could probably hope for. The number one pick next year.
because I'm
They
looking
do
at
have some talent at wide receiver. I'll give them that. They have some talent there. Problem, like you said, O line's an issue. Bryce Young's height is gonna be an issue with a lot of these D linemen with their ability to, pressure the quarterback and get their arms up. Like, yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do,
look,
but
my team had a field day with them team with that offensive line last year. A field day, and I was lovely to see.
yeah,
But I'm looking at their schedule, and the only winnable games I'm gonna sit here and say that they probably could win are versus the low-lie Giants and the Commanders. And even
that's
with
probably
the Commanders,
that's
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
that's I'm about to say that's probably a better breakdown for the Panthers. When do they get their first win?
And they don't play the Giants until week 10. Because look, you got Saints, Chargers, Raiders,
Mm-hmm.
Bengals, Bears, Falcons, Commanders, Broncos, Saints, Giants, 1-9.
So which one do you think they win?
Like, I really think they don't win a game until week 10. And then their bye
Okay.
week is week 11. And then the schedule guys just told them to go to hell because you got the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Cardinals. I feel like they'll win that game because I
Okay.
don't like what the Cardinals got. So they'll be 2-14.
That'd be 2-13, I think, at that point. Yeah.
Bucks and Falcons, which is 2-16 at that point. Yeah, number one pick going on. Look, I have no faith in them. They have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like Bryce. I love me some Bryce Young. And I wish he hadn't have gotten drafted to that franchise. It should have been CJ Stroud.
I said that all last year. I understand Bryce Young was the quarterback with the better numbers at Alabama, but I thought CJ Stroud would be a better NFL quarterback.
And I'm not
But
just
they
saying
made the decision.
because I don't want to deal with CJ Stroud twice a year.
Right.
I'm saying that no, and the part of I'm not even saying that because of that reason. I'm saying it because I feel like CJ Stroud could do more with a less franchise.
Yeah.
And Houston had some of those pieces. Bryce would have been fine in Houston. Selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have them being 2-16 and last in the division and first number one pick. One or two. I don't know who's gonna get the number one pick. The Giants or the Panthers.
I thought look, if the Panthers end up with 2 wins, I thought it was going to be the Panthers. I think the Giants could win more than 2 games. But yeah, it would be a fun, I guess, back and forth all season. Anthony does say, wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers beat the Raiders. So that's what, week 3. So he's more optimistic about them getting their first win potentially than you are, because you said week 10, I guess, against the Giants.
Raiders have
Which
a
at least with right. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I guess Anthony's referring to the Raiders quarterback situation not necessarily being the best either. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders maybe scored a couple of touchdowns off the defense. Maybe that's how they get that game done. So, yeah, I wouldn't feel confident about it, but who knows? I think when I looked at the schedule, I was trying to figure out where they would get their first win as well. Yeah, the Giants might be their best opportunity. If they don't get it there, then yeah, 0-17 watch might be on high alert. Because yeah, as Anthony put, the Giants defense isn't terrible. And I mean, for a Panthers offense that struggled to just, like tie their shoes last year, I think the Giants defense could give them trouble. Now, where I said that the Panthers at least have a good wide receiver group, that's only if you protect Bryce Young and he's able to find passing lanes. So if he can't do that, then yeah, the Giants defense could play well against them. So, yeah. But yeah, if they don't get that one, then I guess that Cardinals game might be the next opportunity. And even with the Cardinals, would you be surprised if Kyler Murray scrambles around and throws like 4 touchdowns randomly in that game? Probably not.
Because what did the Cardinals do minus Kyler? What did the Cardinals do last year? They whooped up on Dallas, and then they whooped up on the Eagles. So
yeah, yep. But now you got Marvin Harrison there, so yeah, that's not a gimme there either. So they may legitimately have 2, maybe 3 opportunities at getting a win. In the third game, I was going to say maybe the Commanders game, but even the Commanders, I feel like, are a much better team than Carolina right now.
What kind of coach Dan Quinn is, they're going to win that game.
Right. So, all right, Panthers fans, we'll see. I mean, look, I don't necessarily disagree with you on anything. I think it goes Falcons, Bucks, Saints, Panthers. I mean, if yeah, it's a weird division because the years where you think it's obvious to pick are the years where it's the most chaotic. And we could come down to the last week and have the Bucks, Falcons, and Saints all with an opportunity to win the division, even though sitting here right now, it should probably come down to Falcons, Bucks, and honestly, it should be Falcons, like a game or 2 better than the Bucks, and then everybody else should kind of fall in line. But that's just the NFC South. Let's go ahead. We got one more division. This one is near and dear to your heart. The AFC South. So this division, you have the Colts, who get Anthony Richardson back this season. He started off okay, got hurt, didn't see him. They don't have a Gardner Minshew to go to as a backup. So they have high hopes for Anthony Richardson only because they kind of have to at this point. You have the Jags, who I feel like a couple of years ago, a lot of people thought they were probably going to run this division for the next couple of years because of Trevor Lawrence. Of course, it didn't work out that way last year. He has some pressure on him coming into this year. Then you have the Tennessee Titans, Jory's squad here, who probably have flown under the radar with some of their moves in the offseason. And if you look at what they've done, they put together on paper a pretty decent team. Now, obviously, they have the question mark at quarterback with Will Levis, but it's his second year in the league. He should be kind of accustomed to things. So we got to see what he looks like. And then you have like everybody's favorite in the Houston Texans, who made the playoffs last year, were maybe inexperience led them to lose to the Ravens, because there was a portion of that game where it looked like they might be able to pull that one out, but they weren't able to get it done. And all Houston did this offseason was improve. So there's a chance they could be better next year. So looking at the 4 teams in your division, I mean, we know how you will probably feel about not the Falcons, the Titans. So I guess before you do your breakdown, no, actually, I'll let you do your breakdown, because I feel like I was going to ask a question that I feel like it was going to be an obvious answer. So go ahead and do your thing with the AFC South. Let's see where you have your Titans falling as a Titans fan.
And I'm not one of those air breathers that just happens to be delusional. I'm not I don't do whatever the purple people fans do. I don't do. I do the exact opposite. And I
So
really
you're telling
wish.
me you don't have them going 17-0?
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
you're not doing anything crazy like that. Okay, all right, I got you.
The Texans, they should have beat the Ravens. I really wish they would have, because I really would have laughed.
Yes.
I would have had a ball just cackling at the Ravens. And when they fizzle out this year in the playoffs, I'm gonna have a ball laughing too. I'm calling it.
Okay. Okay.
But I am gonna. Do I want to start with my team? No, because I can get a little long-winded. Let me start with the Jaguars.
Okay.
The Cheetos, the Chester Cheetos. Um, I'm not very sold on half of the things that they've done, to be completely honest. I get it. They will take a step back. I feel like they will take a step back. Losing Ridley is going to hurt more than what they think that it is.
Okay.
If they don't think, if you talk to Jaguars fans, probably because he's a Titan now, but he's not that good, and he kept dropping the ball and da 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 da. I said, were those drops, or were those just badly thrown balls by a certain Sunshine Pony Boy? We all know how I feel about Trevor Lawrence. Overrated. They're not going to get anything done with him. The one playoff win they have with him is because Brandon Staley was the Chargers head coach. So, there's that. That's how I feel about that. Then you do a whole bunch of roster turnover on your defensive end. I feel like they're going to still be missing some pieces. I get it. They go get Eric Armstead. But now, because last year, the year before last year, you lost Arden Key, and that's going to be key too. Especially in a division that, for the most part, has gotten better. Now, the Colts, that's a different story. Because the Colts are just doing their best Cowboys impersonation of do nothing. Nothing. But I'll get into that in just a minute.
Yeah.
For the Jaguars, if I'm looking at their schedule, they start off the rip in fight mode. Because I'm like, you got Miami in Miami. in September in Miami, where it's stupid hot. But
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville is hot too, so I don't think there's going to be very much of an
Yeah.
advantage. Then you week 2, Cleveland, depending on what that weirdo that wears number 4 looks like. Who knows? Then you go to Buffalo. That's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting because both teams are in a kind of weird phase. Jacksonville is in the phase where they can't keep a good solid group of receivers together consistently because they're blaming the receivers as when we should be blaming the quarterback. And so
Okay.
you got your receivers going elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Then you play. Yeah, I don't know what that offense is gonna look like. In all honesty, I know what ATN is, which is okay. It's okay for them, I guess. And
I
I'm not
like
trying to
ETN,
sound like
but
a
I
hater.
see what you're saying.
I'm not trying to sound like a hater. I'm trying to be disingenuous right now.
Mm.
So if it comes across as haterism, just please note that this is my division.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like them at all. But they play week 3 and 4. They're at Buffalo and at Texans. If they don't come out with their heads on straight, they could be going 0 and 4.
God, I was about to ask, with those 4 games to start with, what do you think their record is coming out of that?
1 and 3
Okay.
at best. It's very highly possible they could be going 0 and 4. Again, I
Okay.
don't know what Miami's going to look like. So if they win that Miami game, they might lose the other 3. They could go 2 and 2. Who knows? Because I
Okay.
don't know what Cleveland's going to look like. They can mess around and go on a 2-game winning streak before Buffalo does what Buffalo does. Anyway, but then week 5 they have the Colts. I feel like they're going to
Yeah.
beat the Colts at home. Week 6 they're at Chicago. I don't know what Caleb Williams is going to look like. Week
Right.
7 at home versus the Patriots.
I think it's a London game, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they are basically London's team, but yeah.
And then I really don't. Based off of quarterback play, Jacksonville should win this game. But I also know Trevor Lawrence, and he can throw some picks.
Mm-hmm.
He sure can. So as
Yeah.
long as he's throwing touchdowns to the other team, to his team, that's a winnable game. As soon as he start throwing one, uh-uh. Anyway, then the Packers. So I have them winning week 7. Week 8, I have them losing. I think the Packers are a better team. I think Jordan Love is the better quarterback. I
So I
have
guess
2 number 1
I was about to
quarterbacks.
say to keep this in mind when you get to Tennessee that Anthony's asking about Tony Pollard.
I'll get back to that in just a second. Um, the Packers game is a loss. The Eagles game is a loss.
Mm-hmm.
They play the Vikings, that's a dub. Versus the Lions, that's a loss. Bye. At home versus the Texans, which I really don't think they're going to win a game versus the Texans.
Okay.
Then they come to Tennessee, and I think that's an L because why not?
Right.
If no, I tell you, if Jeffrey Simmons don't like one opponent, it's the Jaguars. It's definitely them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they play the Jets. I feel like they're gonna win that. Then they
Unless
play the
Aaron
Titans
Rodgers has
again.
completely fractured that locker room by then. But yeah.
Then they play my Titans again,
Mm-hmm.
and we win in Jacksonville. So it's not like this game is gonna be a gimme. What did we do last year? Like,
Yeah.
which has ruined their playoff hopes.
Yeah.
I take very good pride in ruining people's playoff hopes when my team is not going. I already knew from the middle of the season my team wasn't going to the playoffs. I was just in the mood to spoil everybody else's season.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Good point.
Depending on what my team actually looks like, I'll give it a draw. At the Raiders, they should win that game, and at the Colts, they'll lose.
Yeah. 'Cause I was about to say this division. The weird thing about it is they're all really competitive against each other, but there's also one opponent that each one of the teams seemingly can't beat. And for Jacksonville,
It's the
it's the
Colts.
Colts. For whatever reason, they just cannot beat the Colts. It's one of the weirdest things. That's like the part of the AFC South that's so compelling and head scratching. But I mean, it is what it is. Divisional football. Can't really explain it.
So I definitely have. What did I have the Jaguars as? What, seven? Like, shoot, I forgot. I have
Man, I
them
forgot.
losing nine
I
games.
should have been keeping track of the numbers here. Cause I know you had them. I think 1-3 at best through their first four. Then the next set you had, I think the Bears was a loss. I think you had the Colts game, a loss.
I said the Bears was a win.
Okay, all right. Okay. That's like one, that's like two, three,
That
four, the
stretch,
Vikings.
that stretch after week 5 is a little tough.
I mean, I think you basically have them as like a 7-10 type of team.
Yeah. See, and if I didn't respect them, they wouldn't have 7 wins.
Right.
At least
That's,
I'm not
I
a.
mean, it's not a crazy number. Like you
At
didn't
least
do
I'm
like a
not a
2 and
Ravens fan
15
who
type of thing.
says. At least I'm not a Ravens fan who says the Titans are gonna win 4 games when they won 6 last year. Like, come on.
Right.
Don't get me started on that. I'm gonna start with the Texans.
Okay.
Um, week 1 they play the Colts. I think they're gonna at Indianapolis. I think the Texans are just better than the Colts. Um, quarterbacks aside, quarterbacks too. Um, week 2 the Bears defensive
That's been
line.
interesting.
That's gonna be interesting. I have the Texans winning that because I really don't know what that offensive line of the Bears is going to look like, and I don't
Mhm.
know what Caleb Williams is going to look like.
Right.
Week 3, I feel like that's a win versus the Vikings. Week 4, I have them beating the Jags. So I have them going 4-0. I feel like the Bills might play a little bit of a spoiler and knock them off week 5 because the Bills just do that type of things with Josh Allen. Even though the Bills,
That
they
would make Stephon Diggs pretty upset to lose to Buffalo first time that he
I
gets
hope
to
it
beat them with
happens.
the Texans.
I hope it happens. All that hell he caused.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have them winning week 6 versus the Patriots. Week 7 versus the Packers is going to be very interesting.
Hmm.
I also have them that I'll come back to the Packers game because I have to think more about that one. The
Okay.
Colts, again, I think they're going to sweep the Colts. At the Jets, I'll give them a loss there. Week 10 at the Lions. Hold on. I'll give them a little loss there.
Okay.
Week 11 at Dallas. That's a dub. Week 12, they're home versus the Titans. Now, the thing about that is my team has also gone into Houston and started spanking butt. So there's that. Um, but this is a different team. I'm gonna say Houston's gonna take one at home.
Okay.
At Jaguars. Didn't I have the Jaguars losing to the Texans both games?
I think you did. Yes.
Okay, so that's a win too. They have a late bye. Week 14. Week 15, they have Miami, Chiefs, Ravens, and then they come to Nashville, which I think is a loss. I think they win versus the Miami. I feel like they lose the next two, actually, and then lose the next three.
See, that would be a tough way to end the season. I mean, those are tough games. I will say.
I feel like they could win 11 games.
And I think that's it's not a crazy total as well. I feel like I said at the top, like everybody definitely feels like the Texans are the class of this division. Even though I feel like as you'll probably get into here, there could be a team that's being slept on, but I just think that the way Houston played last year, and they seemingly after like 2 or 3 years where they made every bad decision, whether it was coaching or whatever, they seem like that they have really put themselves in a position to do well the next few years because of D'Amico Ryans, C.J. Stroud, the brilliant maneuver in the draft to go get um, Anderson as well. They got Stingley. Like they have really good young players on this team. So yeah, I'm there with you. I think Houston probably wins the division, but uh, continue on.
And now we're going to talk about the ponies, the Banner Boys, the most insufferable group of people. Yes, I got my Titans over 6.5 wins. Stay tuned. Give me 5, 6 minutes. Because my team has a top 10 easy schedule. We have winnable games. We won 6 games last year. Um, Back to the ponies.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1, they play Houston at home. That's an L. Look, I feel like that offensive line is old and overrated. I feel like Michael Pittman is overrated. Anthony Richardson, I don't know what he's gonna look like. Um, Jonathan Taylor, who cares? Uh, look,
Look, he's going to be used up this season. I mean, they used him up pretty much last season. He's in for another like heavy
yeah,
workload this year.
like I said, Jonathan Taylor, who cares? The defense has gotten another year older, and they haven't done much to fix that other than getting Raekwon Davis from Miami. Which,
Mm-hmm.
whoop de doo, you want a cookie? Like, ugh. And then Ursay got the nerve to be that type of individual. I can't stand the Colts. And my
I
family is
can't
full
either.
of Colts fans. My family from Indiana.
Eh,
I
I don't
can't.
have that issue, but yeah,
I can't. Because every time we got to go see the family, I got to ride by that stupid stadium. Like, Lord.
yeah, I wouldn't switch places with you at all with that one.
um, at Green Bay, I think that's a loss.
Okay.
Week 3 versus the Bears, I feel like they'll win that. Week 4 versus the Steelers. At the Jags, loss. In Nashville, loss. Versus Miami, the Colts they could edge one out over Miami. I feel like Tua is gonna have a string of games where he just doesn't play well. This is one of
Mm-hmm.
them. Dub. At Houston, L. At Minnesota, win. Buffalo, I like the quarterbacks more. I like the coaching more, a little bit slightly. I yeah. That's a draw. I'll come back to that. At the Jets, that's a loss. At home versus Detroit, loss. At New England, they should beat New England. Sorry.
Okay.
They have a week 14 bye.
Okay.
At Denver, that's a loss. Because I feel like Sean Payton he might have it clicking by then if he's going to have it clicking at all. Week 16, I'll have them beating. No, I can't even sit here and stomach myself to say that. Loss. And I don't care. You can call me biased, you can call me haterism. I don't care. I cannot sit here and stand to say that the Colts are going to beat my team because they're not better than my team.
I got
Period.
you.
At the Giants, I feel like that's a dub. In week 18. For Jacksonville, I said that they were going to win that game. Wait, no, because Jacksonville never wins that game. That's a dub. Especially if it's going to be in Indianapolis. They're not winning that. So I have them. Let's just go ahead and say like I'll have them beating Buffalo, doing what they do.
Okay.
So they're 7-10, and that's respectable too.
Okay.
Y'all
Yeah.
can't say I've been going heavy on the hatred because that's not true.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
being
Anthony just put
respectable.
that Vegas has the Colts at 8.5.
They're not that good.
So you have them under. Yeah.
Yes, they're decent. They're not 8 games decent.
Yeah. Okay.
And now we're gonna start with my team. Hold on.
All right. Got Tennessee. Here we go.
So week 1, Bears. I feel like we're gonna win that game.
Okay.
Something is crying to me about my defensive line is gonna get it going early.
Okay. So you have your defense frustrating
Williams.
Caleb
Yeah.
Williams in his first game. Yeah. Okay.
2, the Jets at home. I'm because I don't
Okay.
like Aaron Rodgers. I like my defensive line better than that makeshift offensive line. I like my receivers. They have Garrett Wilson and who else? Randall Cobb.
Is Randall Cobb? Is Randall Cobb still there?
I don't know.
Did he move on?
The only receiver
Now
I
that you
know
brought it up, that's actually a good. Is
that
Garrett
played for
Wilson?
the Jets.
That's the one like anybody knows.
Yeah. If look, if you know who the Jets receivers are, please let me know because I don't. The only one I know is Garrett Wilson. I don't pay attention to the Jets. The Jets have not given me anything but soap opera drama.
They have Mike Williams. I forgot that was a move that they made. They got him out
Well,
of LA.
I
They
have
have Alan
DeAndre.
Lazard. So yeah. After that, it's a whole lot of just names.
Yeah. So you have Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams. Congratulations.
Right.
I like D Hop and Ridley over at least one of those guys,
Okay.
if not both. But, Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Keep them both upright. Um, I will say that Jordan Love could give us some issues, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, my secondary is not as porous as it was last year. I actually have a safety that can cover instead of one that
Mm-hmm.
was on the backslide.
Yeah. Valid
You know
point.
what? Listen, for me to be a little bit sane, I'll have us losing versus the Packers.
Okay.
And week 4, Miami. We've been beating Miami's tail for the past 5 years. Why is it going to stop now? And we haven't been like Miami. We beat Tua. We beat the last person before Tua. They gave us Tannehill, and we beat them with Tannehill. So I feel like that might be a W. I don't like Miami's offensive line. Their starting offensive line, I don't like it. They have more
Okay.
finesse. They're more of a speed team. Well, I got speed too, and not just on the sides. I got speed in the trenches. Look, can they keep Tua upright? That's my biggest question.
I mean,
My
they
offensive
better. All
line,
that money they just gave them.
right. My offensive line, the left side straight. That right side is gonna give me some hell this season. It's gonna make me lose a game or two. I will be honest, but not versus Miami because they were dumb enough to let Christian Wilkins walk.
Yeah, we definitely agree on that one. I think that's gonna be a big loss for them.
And week 5, we got a bye. Week 6 at home versus the Colts. At Buffalo, I'll take that L. At Detroit,
Okay.
I'll take that L if that happens.
Detroit's tough in Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Patriots, I'm gonna take that one. Sorry.
Sorry.
At the Chargers, I'm so sick and tired of playing the goddamn Chargers, but we beat them.
Hmm.
So W. And I don't care about Harbaugh. I really don't. Not in this game, I don't. Because I feel like Brian Callahan and what they've done with this team this season, with a Denard Wilson, who my players love, by the way.
Hmm.
Thank you, Baltimore, for letting that man go. Thank you. Don't say I haven't said nothing nice about y'all. Thank you.
There you go.
At the Vikings, I'll say we win that. At the Texans,
Okay, I kind of figured I heard something about Cobb. Okay, so Cobb's gonna be SEC studio analyst. Yeah, because I knew he wasn't in New York anymore.
I don't pay attention to irrelevant New York teams, even though most of them are irrelevant, but we're not going to get on that. Which one is the most relevant? The Knicks? And that might be the
Actually,
answer.
yeah, it might actually be the Knicks. Yes.
At Houston, I'll go ahead and give us an L. I feel
Okay.
like we're better than the Commanders. W.
Okay.
Week 14, home versus Jacksonville. I'll have us winning that game. I'll have us losing versus Cincinnati, maybe.
Okay.
I really put that as a draw because I don't think we're that far off of Cincinnati.
So that'd
My
be what Callahan coaching against his former team.
I feel like that we could come out with that one. We beat them last year, but that's not last year. This is a whole new
Hmm.
team, whole new coaching regimen. Yeah. At the Colts, if we're gonna stink up a game, it's gonna be that one.
Okay.
It's gonna be that one. And I had the Colts winning a game at home. At the Jaguars, that's a dub. And at wait, did I have the Jaguar? No. I'll have let me come back to that. I feel like week 18 we're gonna beat Houston and Nashville because that's a home game. And we'll be clicking by then, so why not? And it's a divisional game. And I'll just have us winning at Jacksonville because we win in Jacksonville all the time. So
Okay.
that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 and 7. And
Okay. I
considering
mean,
the
look.
fact that we won 6 games last year, of course I'm gonna
4
have
games,
us
3
going
wins.
10 games.
Okay.
But
Now look,
also
that's
improvement.
not it's not a homer number. 10-7 is reasonable. Um, so that's interesting. So you have. I was just looking at the over unders. So Houston at 9.5, you have as an over because you had them with 11 wins. The Colts at 8.5, you have them under because of 7 wins. The Jags 8.5, you have them under 7 wins, and Tennessee, you have over 6.5 with 10 wins. So you have the Texans, Titans, and then whatever the tiebreaker would be between Colts and Jaguars. That's how you have it finished. That's how you
Week
have the
18. It's gonna
division
come
lining up.
up week 18. It always does. Especially in the
Okay.
AFC South when it comes to them two. It comes down to week 18. Well, really for all four.
Mm-hmm.
It might come down to week 18.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I agree with the order of finish. I do think the Texans win it. I think the Titans, because of I feel like a drop off in Jacksonville and Indy. This is basically Anthony Richardson's like second rookie year. He didn't play enough last year to kind of change my opinion of him. Now, look, it could be because it is technically his second year. He may look better, but it's just hard for me to wipe out how he looked at Florida and just think he's going to be a completely different quarterback. So he could prove me wrong, but I still think that they are battling with the Jags for third. Um, as I said at the top, I think what Tennessee has done this offseason, you got to give them a lot of credit. You know, it started off weird with the Mike Vrabel stuff. And, you know, of course, we don't know what Callahan is as a head coach, but you won't know until you see it. Like, I'm all for teams giving new guys an opportunity. You know, he happens to come from good lineage because he went and got his dad to coach the offensive line. That's that man. If there's a one thing he can do is coach an offensive line. So you figure a lot of Tennessee's issues last year were offensive line. That is something that should be completely shored up this year solely because of Callahan Sr. being there. So if they got to 10 wins, I would not be surprised. I think I had them around 8, 9, 10 wins. Because like I said, going 8 and 9, 10 and 7, not that big of a difference. Like that's like a bounce of the ball here or there. So I'd probably split the difference and say they probably go like 9 and 8. I agree with the Texans being like a 10, 11 win team, and Colts and Jaguars being around 7 wins. I'm not going to sit here and necessarily argue that. Because yeah, the biggest question mark Tennessee's going to be Will Levis, but he should be better because of everything they've done around him. I mean, I don't know if he's the second best quarterback in the division. That might be seen as a bit of a hot take because you and I have had conversations about Trevor Lawrence. I feel like both of us are in the same boat that this is a year that he is under a lot of pressure to perform. And as like a byproduct of that, Doug Peterson is under a lot of pressure to turn that Jacksonville situation around. So we'll see. We'll see how they do.
How many receivers can you blame for drops before we start looking at the person throwing the ding dang on passes?
That's a good question. You know, I feel like, Christian Kirk was basically a failure in Arizona, got to Jacksonville and became a number one. So somebody has to get credit for that, or you just blame that on Arizona not knowing what they're doing. And maybe it's more of that than necessarily Jacksonville getting credit for it in Trevor Lawrence. Zay Jones was kind of a cast off in Buffalo. He became more productive in Jacksonville. So there's reasons to be optimistic. It's just like a lot of the indecision the turnover issues that Trevor Lawrence had at the end of last season. I need to see him do better this year before I can completely say, oh yeah, Jacksonville can contend for this division or even be second in this division. I'm not there with them. So I agree with you on the order of finish. I'm there with you on that one.
Trevor Lawrence has not played his best brand of football since college.
That's true. And, as people have said, it's kind of hard to not be in that position when you won a national championship in college. Like the only way to really find the equivalent of that would be to like win a Super Bowl. Obviously, Jacksonville is not in that conversation, like not even close to it. So
yeah, because when they were in that situation, they ticked off Brady, and we see what happened with that. I bet Jalen Ramsey's not gonna do that no more.
Yeah, we know Jalen Ramsey. Well, I mean, Jalen Ramsey could do it now because he doesn't have to worry about Tom Brady.
And he doesn't have to worry about going to another Super Bowl because Miami don't play well when it's less than 50 degrees.
Right. They have their own issues as well. All right. So let me go ahead and switch it back here. So that's our breakdown of each of the divisions. If you missed any of them, you could go back and check our previous episodes. We went through, like I said, 2 divisions each week. So we finished up those. Next week, we'll probably do playoff predictions next week. Who we have for AFC and NFC playoff representatives. We'll probably do that. We'll save our Super Bowl picks for the following week. But before we get out of here, I do want to let you all know that Jory and I, part of Passion and Precision, we actually have a blog now, which you guys can go there and check us out. Pull it up really quickly here. Hold on a second.
It's on Tumblr.
Guess what?
It's on Tumblr.
Yeah. No, I have it like right here to show. Did it pull up? There we go. So if you go over to Tumblr, you'll see our blog. It's in the description as well. We have a couple of our articles up there. Got Brandon Aiyuk. Jory has an article about 5 teams that will take a step back. She has one on 5 teams that will make a step forward. So make sure you go over there, show us some support. Like I said, it's in the description. Follow the link, and follow our blog, because it's something we're getting into to give you guys a different side of us, and some other topics that we talk about on there. Yeah, so I just want to get that in there before we get out of here. But Jory, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here? All right. I'm kind of there with you. It's been a lot of information given on this episode. It was another great episode. Definitely appreciate doing another one with you. And we will be back next week. Make sure you come back and tune in, check us out. Jump in the comments as well, because we love going back and forth with you all. And make sure you follow or subscribe, depending where you're watching, Integrity Sports Network, that we can keep up when one of us or another show on the network goes live, because I guarantee you'll like those as well. I think that's about it. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will see you next week. We are out of here. Good night. See you next week. Bye.